In the earliest strata of the historical Buddha Gautama, in the earliest strata of his teachings, in the Sutta Nipata, is a beautiful conversation called the Metta Sutta, the Karaniya Metta Sutta. This metta that the Buddha wants his students to cultivate is often translated as friendliness, kindness, loving kindness. And could just represent a basic friendliness to experience. Like, all the sitting that we just did, and I was like, hey, whatever's arising in your experience, just be present to it. No need to control or fight or manipulate or cling to or reject. And it sounds pretty intuitive in here, but that's not how I live my life. I spend a fair amount of my life being very picky about the kind of sensory, emotional, and cognitive experiences I have. Between how much or how little hot sauce to put on a dish, or exactly how someone needs to talk to me or not, otherwise I'll get very cross. The historical Buddha was so wise that he was able to discern that being pushed and pulled around by, to use the old Sanskrit term, ragadvesha. Ragadvesha is like clinging and aversion. It's exhausting, actually. It's exhausting. Liking, not liking, preferencing, othering, etc. The Buddha discovered in his own life and his own heart-mind that if he simply applied a blanket scheme, a blanket program, a kind of default way of experiencing the world around him and the world within him, he could unhook himself from the constant push and pull. And, like we were talking about previously, the universe doesn't care that you decided to be quiet for a minute. Trash trucks will trash truck, and dogs will bark, and etc., etc. So, this practice of being present to experience without hooking yourself, without deciding that this is good and that's bad, is so profoundly powerful, because it's not the cold reserve of aversion. It's not deciding that I simply won't play. I'll just be gray rock. I'll just be protoplasm. I won't engage. I won't participate. Rather, training ourselves, training the mind, the heart-mind, to open and rest in this friendliness of experience, this openness to experience. This is probably the single most powerful, for my money, it's probably the single most powerful thing that the Buddha discovered, and it's applicable in every single aspect of your life. Why? Because you don't have to like it, but guess what? It's happening. And it's happening again and again and again. Of course, with the understanding that, one part of loving kindness and compassion to yourself is knowing your boundaries, being skillful with your precious life energy. But adopting this loving kindness is not only the supreme practice and kind of secret engine of meditation on the cushion, but off the cushion, just meeting our own life moment to moment. Nobody in this room has ever decided to be sad or angry or anxious, and it happened, didn't it? It did. So the choices are, I'm going to dissociate, I'm going to resist, or I'm going to cling to it and make it a story about myself and what it means. And none of these three options are any good long term. Terrible for happiness. So, as students of the Buddha, we take this instruction to heart, and it can become the question, the beating heart of your practice. Can I meet what is arising with kindness? How about now? And how about now? So, because this is like the gymnasium of our life, we set ourselves up for success. We join with other kind-hearted, sensitive people. We join in community. We have a nice place to sit. Maybe there's beautiful sounds being played. We set our intention for these wholesome, beautiful heart states. And then we invite ourselves into this practice.